All right, friends, as promised, here is the RTX 2080 Supermax Q equipped Lenovo Legion 7i. This is the top spec that you can buy. It's $3,200 MSRP, although it's on sale right now for about $2,600. And it's a beast. It's a beast in many ways. It's a lovely laptop. I really like it. It's hard to recommend considering the price tag, but that's to be expected when you start to climb the tier of any manufacturer's laptop line. I will point out that if you like what you see in this review, if the laptop's design language and the overall sort of the direction Lenovo put this whole thing together in, if all that speaks to you, then go get the 2060 model, the RTX 2060 model. I think that's the better model to get, just considering the price or performance comparison. And also, we're giving one away in January. So if you're a member of our Insiders program, which is just $5 a month, you get discounted a bunch of stores, you get a Green Man Gaming Gold membership, and you can enter to win the RTX 2060 version of this laptop. Big thank you to Lenovo for making that possible. Let's dive in and talk about input-output. So, 2 USB-C ports and a headphone jack on the left-hand side. On the right, you get a full-size USB-A. Now, both sides have the ventilation as well that does not light up, but looks really cool nonetheless. On the back is where most of the magic is happening. You get a full-size HDMI, 2 USB-A ports, an Ethernet jack, and the power. There's we'll get into the next thing I was going to say. I'll save it till the end. Quirks. There's a quirk here. If you can't tell, but there's a quirk. Okay, the vents in the back do light up, by the way. So, specs, Core i9 from Intel 10th Gen, and the RTX 2080 Supermax Q that I mentioned before, plus 32 gigabytes of RAM. Gigabytes of RAM. Put all of that together, and you of course have the $3,200 price point, but you also have a machine that guzzles power. Without the Corsair iQ system that came pre-installed in this laptop, I was getting about 2.5 hours of battery life at best. With it, it does climb up to more like 3.5 hours of battery life with, some trade-offs. Brightness is almost all the way down, the speakers are off, and I'm using no lighting on the keyboard, and I'm using the stage 2 out of 4 on the Windows battery power setting, so it's like better battery, I think is what it is. 3.5 hours. So battery life is not what this laptop is for. You're going to want to carry around your AC adapter. But if you also just want to plug it into your wall 24/7, then you should install Corsair iQ. If none of that makes sense, then I refer you to a previous video that I made where I talk about the Corsair iQ. Effectively, it drains power, is what it is. The other thing that it does is it helps you tune the keyboard, so you can do a whole bunch of different lighting options with that keyboard, with the keyboard and that iQ system. So you could have it set to a static color, spiral, reaction, a whole bunch of different things, or you can uninstall it like I have, and then built into the hardware are some additional settings. Holding down function and pressing spacebar will show you different lighting effects, and you can't customize these. They're just there. They're there in the hardware stack, but you still get cool lighting. It won't. You can't customize any of this any further. The blue color is what you get, which means that all the other lighting, such as the ground effects, as I call them, right, the underlighting, there we go, that and the fans, all of that are going to be blue, and there's nothing you can do about it. So if you really want that, install Corsair iQ, deal with the battery life the way it is, but then you get to unlock all this really cool lighting that it has to offer. There's another piece of lighting I forgot to mention, and that's right here on the Lenovo Legion logo, that Y, which comes from the Y series laptops of yesteryear. That thing also lights up for you. Okay, about the keyboard. I love it. I think it's a fantastic keyboard. It is right now my very favorite keyboard on any gaming laptop, hands down. The Acer Predator Triton 300, which is my Value King of 2020. You probably saw that review from about a week ago. That has a very good keyboard, but it's not as good as this. I think this mush is perfect. It's a good sound. It's not too loud. It feels good. I can fly on this keyboard. Plus, you get the included number pad, which is really important for me because I spend more time working than I do gaming. I have been using this every single day for at least an hour, sometimes working through an entire day just on this machine when I can tolerate it. It sort of depends on my workload for the day. But most of my time spent, again, is working, not gaming. And when I'm working, I'm doing things like Excel and Office and Outlook. Of course, having Microsoft Edge running with tabs galore, and it doesn't skip a beat. The Core i9 in here plus the 32 gigs of RAM, this thing is a performer for business stuff. It doesn't really look like a business laptop, so if you're worried about that, sorry, but maybe for the foreseeable future, you're going to be doing Zoom calls anyway, so who cares? Who cares? But anyway, you should have pride in what you do. I mean, this is my background on when I'm on business calls right now. I've got my Zelda everywhere, and I don't know. It's up to you. Some people have confidence in that stuff. Some people don't. It took me a while to get used to flexing my gaming habits. Okay, so next thing is cooling. So Lenovo has all this marketing jargon about their cooling. The bottom line is this will peak at about 54 decibels before it kind of clocks itself down. I didn't really experience that too much. It sort of hit 54 at the max and stayed there. What that translates to in real world is you're going to have to turn your volume up to about 22, 24 out of 100 in Windows before you start to hear your games over the fans. But that's only when they're really cranking. And to me, they didn't crank too much too often. Most of my time, while I did test a variety of games, most of my time gaming was with Assassin's Creed Valhalla. And I feel like Valhalla got to about 70, 75 frames per second most of the time, and the fans were roaring. So I constantly had to have my volume up. But what you can do is you can adjust the cooling settings by holding down Function and pressing Q. Lenovo calls this the Q Control 3.0. When you do that, you'll notice the power button change colors from white to blue to red, and depending on the mode, you either have no fans, you have fans turning on when they're necessary, and then fans going bananas, which is the red mode, and don't use that. Just keep it on auto. That's my recommendation. Okay, gaming performance. So I spent some time with a handful of games, starting with The Witcher 3, about 95 frames per second in The Witcher 3, which translates to about a 25% improvement over The Witcher 3 on the RTX 2060 equipped version of this laptop, the 7i. Some games I don't want to show footage of because I'm terrible at them. Fortnite, about 109 to 120. Counter-Strike was about 140. Assassin's Creed, I mentioned, 70 to 77. Jedi Fallen Order, which is a great game, about 95 to 100. And COD was about 110 to 115 frames per second. And I shouldn't be showing video of that, but you gotta know that I actually played that one. I'm just terrible at it. So gaming performance is pretty good, but it's not going to blow you away. So for $1,000 more over a 2060 in the Lenovo line, it's kind of hard to say go out and buy it. Maybe if you're really rich, I guess, and you just want to have the greatest out there, that's a good way to go. But you got to really be in love with Lenovo's design language, which I am. I think it's fantastic, which is a good time to talk about some of the things I didn't love about this laptop. So we have to start with the Hinge. Now, everyone's complaining about the Hinge. I should have everybody. A few people have. I mean, enough that it reached my channel, which is small. People are commenting about the Hinge. I haven't had any issues with the Hinge. The one thing I can tell you is that it doesn't survive the Geeks Worldwide Hinge test. So you get this thing to about 4 inches and you're okay. But once you get to about a 3-inch opening, you lose it, right? It just drops right off. Now, of course, with standard settings, this is going to go into sleep mode. Something I've noticed it's really hard to translate onto the screen here is the Hinge is a bit soft. So if I put this in my backpack, right, it's going to be upright like this, okay? Now watch, as I lean, so hard to pick up, as I lean forward, the display starts to open up. See that gap right there? Starts to open up. Now what I've noticed is sometimes my laptop will turn on in the backpack. And I think that's because the backpack is, it's going on my shoulder, or I'm setting it down somewhere, and then all of a sudden that it's not upright anymore, it's tilted, and so now the weight of the display or the looseness of the Hinge perhaps is causing the laptop to open up and turn back on, even though it's a slight opening. And just overall, this Hinge is a bit weak. I think it could have benefited from having some magnets along the side. I don't think just tightening the Hinge is going to be enough, but in any way you cut it, because of the loose Hinge experience on this machine, I do think that might be part of what people are complaining about in general, and it might be the reason my laptop is turning on while it's in the backpack, which is, of course, not good for the machine, causes it to get really warm. There's fail-safes, right? The system will turn off, presumably, if it reaches a temperature it's uncomfortable. But anyhow, for now, not cool. Not a fan of that, but I can live with it. And I really think that the pros outweigh the cons in this machine, which is why I'm spending way more time talking about the pros and the cons. But any way you slice it, if you can't live with the Hinge in this condition, this isn't what you want to get. But if you like the design language overall, then of course you want to go after that 2060 as I mentioned. There's a couple other things that I want to call out that I think are really, really cool, and then one more thing that bugs me. So on the lip, the word Legion is printed on the aluminum, and then there's a bit of a lip to this here, so you know exactly where you're grabbing. Of course, it survives the one-hand open test, okay? But in addition to that, it says Legion right there, which is such a cool touch. I really like that. It's a quality thing. And then on the hinge, this is going to be hard to pull in as well. On the hinge either side, there's the Lenovo Y logo. So that's another nice little fancy. It's not embossed or anything. It's just, I don't know how they did it. But anyway, it's just right there. I think it's a really cool look, and I dig that. Okay, the last thing that sort of bugged me. This is going to be hard to pick up on camera. I'll probably have to grab some B-roll. But basically, on the back of the laptop, I mentioned is where all the ports are. So of the 5 ports, right, HDMI, 2 USB-As, Ethernet, and power is the one that doesn't light up. Right now, it's picking up on camera. These are all lit up, right? So there's power, and there's a light, and the light is showing the logos for everything but the power. Power should be lit up. I mean, there is an icon there. It's just not lit up. I don't know why it's that way. Maybe the bulb placement, I don't know. But I really wish that Lenovo would make the power one light up too, because I sometimes need to see that in the dark, and you've shown all the other ones, so why not show that one? Okay, that's everything. So I love this laptop. I think it's very, very good, and I don't want to just take anything away, but I also wanted to give you a very comprehensive and in-depth look at the machine, particularly considering the feedback that I got from the last video on this, which was more of an impressions and tour I'd just gotten, and a few days later I did a video on it. That's a pattern that I'm doing now. I'm taking like this 9i, and I've got this 15-inch Lenovo Yoga here. I think it's a 9 something, I don't know. I take these and I unbox them, and then I do the video, hey, tell me what you want to know, and then I shoot the longer video like this one. So if you have additional feedback on this laptop, let me know, because I'm going to keep this one. So if you have additional questions, whether it's about the life of the Hinge or certain games that you want benchmarked, just let me know. I will do my best to capture all of that in my next video about it. Until then, become an insider and enter to win this laptop with the RTX 2060 in it. That will run from January 1st to the 31st. This month we're giving away a Lenovo Chromebook Duet. Again, thanks to Lenovo for that. So you can sign up today. It's a great Christmas present. And there you go. Then you can enter to win all these laptops that we give away all the time. We've given away like $5 grand in laptops since August. It's pretty amazing. All right, thanks a lot for watching, and I appreciate all of your feedback. Catch you on the next one. Bye.